All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive puzzle. How do sprawling, incredibly diverse societies actually govern themselves down at the local level? We're talking about the fascinating mechanics of grassroots democracy, a system that empowers millions of people to take charge of their very own communities. So, picture this. How on earth do you govern a complex society of over 1.4 billion people scattered across 600,000 different villages? It is literally a staggering logistical puzzle. I mean, think about the daily realities of rural life. If someone steals your crops or a monsoon washes out the only road into town, you can't exactly pack up and run to the national or state capital for every single issue, right? Obviously not. You need immediate, hyper-local solutions. To see how they pull this off, here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, governance at the grassroots. Second, duties of village councils. Third, leaders driving local change. Fourth, empowering children's voices. Fifth, the three-tier system. And finally, ancient roots of democracy. Basically, we're zooming way out from the dirt roads of a single village to a structured democratic machine that spans millions. Okay, let's start right on the ground with Section 1, Governance at the Grassroots. This is all about daily problems and local solutions. Let's put our boots on the ground in a place like Lakshmanpur. Imagine a tiny village tucked into the Himalayan foothills, maybe 200 houses. Most folks here are farmers, or they're raising livestock. Their needs are incredibly practical. They need water for their fields, a solid roof on the primary school, and quick fixes when the weather wrecks the local infrastructure. These are decisions that impact their daily lives, so the solutions obviously need to be decided by the people who actually live there. Now, take the needs of Lakshmanpur and multiply them. Like, a lot. The scale of rural India is just mind-blowing. We're talking a population well over 1.4 billion. And almost two-thirds of those folks live in rural areas. That is roughly 600,000 villages nationwide. When you multiply the unique, everyday needs of one small village by 600,000, yeah, you absolutely need a highly decentralized system just to keep society functioning. And that brings us to the ultimate local solution, the Panchayati Raj. Think of it as a system of local self-government specifically for rural areas. By setting up a village council or panchayat, it essentially brings governance right to the people's front door. It empowers them to roll up their sleeves and actively participate in the decisions that shape their actual lives. That is the true essence of grassroots democracy. Which leads perfectly into Section 2, Duties of Village Councils. Let's look at the essential responsibilities these councils tackle on the ground. So, what exactly is the local village council, the Gram Panchayat, responsible for? Well, pretty much the whole shebang. We're talking agriculture and housing, maintaining the local roads, managing those super vital water resources, plus keeping an eye on local education and healthcare. They even promote social welfare and cultural activities. These councils are the absolute critical engine that ensures the benefits of big government schemes actually reach the people, touching almost every part of their day. What's really fascinating here is the balance of power. The Gram Panchayat is led by an elected president called a sarpanch, voted in by the adults of the village. But they aren't flying solo. They've got dedicated administrative support, like a panchayat secretary, and an officer called a patwari. The patwari handles land records. And get this, sometimes they use historic maps that are literally generations old to settle modern property disputes. Pretty wild, right?
All right, abstract concepts are cool, but people are better. Let's hit Section 3, Leaders Driving Local Change, where we see empowered individuals transforming their communities.
Take the incredible story of Janeshwar Kambli. Back in 2017, Kambli, a transgender person, was elected as Sarpanch in Maharashtra. Beating out 6 other candidates, they overcame massive societal barriers to lead Tarangfal village. Their guiding motto is just fantastic. Lok Seva, Gram Seva, meaning service to the village is service to the public. It's a textbook example of how grassroots democracy can elevate marginalized voices right into leadership. Then there's Vandana Bahadur Maitha in Madhya Pradesh. She completely flipped the script on deeply entrenched patriarchal norms to become her village's very first female sarpanch. And she didn't stop there. She actively went out and convinced other women to leave their homes and join the council meetings. By championing critical issues like education and sanitation, she proved exactly why inclusive female leadership is an absolute game changer for rural areas. And you've got to hear about Papatrao Baguji Pawar. He took over a struggling, severely drought-hit village in Maharashtra. Through this massive, community-wide push to plant hundreds of thousands of trees and set up rainwater harvesting, they literally recharged the local groundwater. He turned a desperate village into a prosperous green haven and even snagged the prestigious Padma Shri Award in 2020. That is the tangible, real-world power of a local council done right. But hey, grassroots democracy isn't just an adults-only club. Let's look at Section 4, Empowering Children's Voices, Cultivating the Next Generation of Democracy. Through something called the Child-Friendly Panchayat Initiative, the youngest members of society actually get a seat at the table. Kids participate in their very own assemblies, known as Bal Sabhas or Bal Panchayats. This means their specific ideas, their opinions, and concerns about their own well-being aren't just brushed off, they are actually heard by the village elders. And the impact these kids have is just unreal. In Maharashtra, youth assemblies have successfully fought to eliminate child labor and stop child marriages, literally convincing adults to send kids back to school. Up in Sikkim, they advocated for safer compound walls and cleaner kitchens for their midday meals. Over in Rajasthan, there's a full-on children's parliament managing school issues with elected youth cabinets. They are cultivating the next generation of democracy by actively demanding social equality. Okay, moving on to Section 5, the three-tier system, connecting the village to the district. So how does a local village connect to the big picture? We call this the three-tier system, and it works kind of like a pyramid. Down at the base, you've got the village level, the Gram Panchayat. Step up one level to the block level, and you have the Panchayat Samiti. And finally, sitting at the top of local governance is the district level, the Zilla Parishad. This setup makes sure local voices bubble seamlessly right up to the regional level. That middle tier, the Panchayat Samiti, it's basically the logistical engine of the whole operation. It acts as the vital link, collecting development plans from all the individual Gram Panchayats and bundling them together. By presenting one unified plan to the district or state, they can secure funding for massive, life-changing projects. Like finally getting those all-weather rural roads built. It is teamwork on a massive scale. And check out this crucial statistic regarding the three-tier system. 1/3. That is the fraction of seats legally reserved exclusively for women across all three levels of this governance structure. Plus, there are special rules ensuring disadvantaged groups get their seats too. Marginalized voices aren't just encouraged to speak up. Their representation is literally hard-coded into the democratic structure itself. Before we wrap this up, let's look back in time with Section 6, Ancient Roots of Democracy, getting a historical perspective on administration. It's honestly fascinating to realize that this entire concept is deeply, deeply rooted in history. Take the Arthashastra, written by the ancient Indian polymath Kautilya over 2,300 years ago. It was essentially a masterclass in statecraft, laying out exactly how a state should be structured for maximum prosperity and proper administration. Kautilya actually wrote that a king should set up a headquarters for every 10 villages, a bigger one for 100, then 400, all the way up to provincial hubs for 800 villages. Think about that for a second. Even millennia ago, experts fully understood that massive, complex societies require a scalable, tiered administration that starts right down at the village level and builds upward. I'm going to leave you with this final thought to reflect on. Isn't it amazing that a blueprint designed 2,300 years ago so perfectly mirrors how our modern democracies survive today? From an ancient text to modern transgender leaders and literal children's parliaments, grassroots empowerment is the enduring foundation of human organization. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and definitely keep questioning how the systems around you are built.